I am here with Chad Wolfe and McKay Stevens, the duo behind the alternative rock band, The Federal Empire. Guys, how are you doing?
Good, man. Super good.
Solid.
So let's get started. Just for the people who may not be as familiar with you, how did you two first meet and connect and decide to start writing music together?
We met through a mutual manager that we had, or we're kind of talking with at the time. Chad had his band, the Carolina Liar, and I was mostly doing kind of songwriting, production for different people. And he linked us up to write with this other guy, Alan, kind of in the dance world stuff I had been doing. Chad and Alan had been doing stuff together for a while. We met up and just talked, hung out. Later on, Chad brought me in on a session with this girl, Sinead. Ended up going really well. We really loved it. I then said, oh, we should do a session with my friend Keith. We wrote a couple songs then. It just kind of like worked, so really kind of linked up to kind of just write together and see how it went. And it ended up, we became really good friends, and really liked kind of working on music together, hanging.
Awesome. Now, when did you guys kind of first figure out like the sound of the Federal Empire, that you guys need to form this band and that you want it to sound as it sounds?
What would you say? That's probably the thing we did. We had the song that was on the first record, Never Saw It Coming. We did it and we had pitched it over to the guys from Chainsmokers, and they had tried it. And what ended up coming back to us was kind of like, it was cool, but it wasn't what we had started. And they were definitely going somewhere interesting with it. But we as a group at the time, we were like, there's something here for us. It's kind of identifiably this thing. It's a stomp clap kind of band, but there's something unique about it. And at that point, we're like, you know what, man, why don't we just keep this for ourselves and let's just see what happens. And we hadn't done any shows or anything like that yet. So we didn't know what could possibly come of it other than us just like, let's just see what happens, what other songs can come. And then before we knew it, we were playing over at the Winston House, and at that time it looked like we were going to get the greatest record deal of our lives.
Oh, yes, the fun record industry. Now, I know you guys started off independently for your first kind of releases in 2017, and then you signed to Sumerian Records, correct?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And they're a little better known as like more of a hard rock label, bands like Bad Omens and I think it's Asking Alexandria. So what made you decide to go with them? Why did it feel like the right choice at the time?
Yeah, I think I'll talk with that. I also wanted to say a couple other things about the previous question, because part of the thing that also helped us have the sound too was like the first few sessions that we had done at Chad's house, even with that other girl, Sinead, Chad like set up a condenser mic in the middle of the room, and we all stood around and shouted at the top of our lungs to sing the chorus, like with a gang vocal. And we just kind of really liked how that was sounding with all of our voices together. So that really became one of the foundational things that was the sound, and still is the sound of the Federal Empire, where like every chorus and sometimes even pre-chorus, we just stand around a condenser mic and yell the chorus vocals in a gang way, which part of our philosophy as the band name, the Federal Empire, it became like, man, we wanted all different voices to blend into one, because we've all lived different lives in a lot of different ways from different parts of the country and stuff. And something we really believe about music is that it's the one thing that everybody, regardless of their race, religion, sexual preference, like anything like that, we can leave it all behind and come together and unify. And a lot of the tours that we've done and everything, it's just great because we find anyone from Texas to New York to Los Angeles really coming together and becoming one. And we think, especially through the pandemic, through all the wars, through all the politics, like this music and music in general has the power to heal and to bring people together and unite. And we need that now more than ever with humanity, especially in the United States, to come together. So it's funny that it acted as like, oh, that sounds cool sonically, but then it became why we chose the name. It became why we had a philosophy to be like, hey, all of the outcasts and everyone feeling alone out there, come and join us. Come sing these songs, where oftentimes we use humor as a coping skill, like we do in our own life, to say, we know you've been through a lot. We know you're probably down and depressed and anxious, just like we are. Put on these records, sing along, laugh, and let's join, the federal empire. I think the thing with Sumerian was interesting because, yeah, we were doing our independent thing, having a good old time. And really, the president of the label, Ash Avildsen, hit us up randomly and was like, hey, guys, I love this music. I want to be a part of it. Let's talk. We went down to the offices. They had like some childhood nostalgia stuff that Chad and I love, like old wrestling, The Ultimate Warrior, that he was obsessed. He had a bunch of like Guns N' Roses, things like that. We went to his house off Mulholland and he had a bunch of old pinball machines. And we were kind of like, man, this guy's really cool. He really wanted to work with the music. We did a bunch of meetings, and his vision and the vision from the label was they'd done a lot of hard rock and they wanted to start moving over to that alternative space. So we were going to be one of the first bands. They wanted to be like, hey, let this be a test or a guinea pig where let's try the alternative world. They had a great radio guy, still have a great radio guy, Mike, over there. And so they took the record to alternative radio, did really well. We were climbing the charts, had some great tours with alternative bands. And really, the pandemic was what kind of shut us down. We had a tour that was on lock, 2 of them actually, that were supposed to start March 25th of 2020. Our full-length record on Sumerian was coming out that date for the tour and promo, all the merch pressed out. And, 2 weeks before that all started, the world shut down. And it really stopped the radio, push climbing, because the band we were going out with was the Unlikely Candidates, and they had the #1 alternative record at the time, Novocaine. So it was this big radio promo push and everything that, our time with Sumerian, with Ash, with Mike and the radio team and stuff was so fun and so awesome. But it was that pandemic that lasted for years that really shut it down, and kind of now leave us independent again, and we're excited about it. We love being independent and the thrill of the gamble, having chips on the table again by ourselves, saying, let's see what we can do and where we can take this, and if the world really ignites and loves this music. So this is our first one, Indy, again. And yeah, I don't know what all you want to add to that as well, Chad, but that's my kind of 2 cents on it.
Yeah, that was the whole thing. The Sumerian thing was quite a wild ride. It was definitely one of those things where, like, yeah, we could go somewhere with it. And then when the pandemic popped up, it was just like, okay, this is where we are now. It's time to readjust. And so we took a nice little break. And now it's nice for us to be on this side of being indie, because McKay and I have just been able to like sit down and actually do the ideas that we want. That's the one thing that has been nice to see again, because I had forgotten. Like, we sat down for 2 days straight and worked. Literally, we did not get up from a table and just were like, dude, we got to do this. And we're just chopping things up and literally making TikToks or doing everything. It's one idea after another. And to be able to be in a position where it's like, when you're in record land or record label land, or, we don't even have management at this time. So we're not having to deal with anybody saying no. So it's kind of nice. Finally, the ideas are like, if we shoot ourselves in the foot, that's fine. At least we can be responsible for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no pressure. You're just kind of enjoying the ride, which is great. And I feel like both of you have had enough experience in the industry and enough connections that probably when you're ready to find that your team again, you probably know the people to reach out to, or how to put yourselves out there to get those people involved with you.
Totally.
Yeah. We'll find some trouble. We always do.
Now, Chad, tell me, how was your experience on Sumerian compared to, I think, Carolina Liars on Atlantic, was it?
Oh, man, it was such a different world. Like the Carolina Liars stuff was, that was a Max Martin project. That was a total collab with Max and Tobias and who Shellback became. And so, and it was Craig Coleman. I mean, there were so many superstars involved in that project. It was one like heavyweight after another, and eventually Jeff Azoff came on board. and like his management thing came in, and it was a juggernaut. And then when it wasn't a juggernaut, like that level of people, when they're like at the top, it becomes just like, it's all your fault, Chad. You're out. We're done. It's like, yep, sure. Of course it is. Those guys have got bigger fish to fry, man. So it was a good time. The Sumerian thing in comparison, Sumerian had a great, like McKay said, the radio team at Sumerian was insane. They worked like a major label in that way. And the thing with Atlantic, their label side of radio promotion and sync. They had Kevin Weaver at sync when I was there. And he still is. Now he's like vice president of the West Coast, or either president of West Coast. I don't know how that works, but they had just a machine like in that. Like they really did. They had great leverage as far as like getting to radio. And Atlantic really did take the time to kind of like start to build something. They gave me a budget to get on the road for a year before we started opening for something like Rob Thomas or like the big acts. They gave me a year of development. And Sumerian just, they didn't have that ability, even though they were a little more indie, they didn't have that ability to like pull the trigger on a big sync or something like that. I think that now McKay and I being indie, we can actually do that, which is kind of fun. We're like, that sync is there, dude. Like, sure, we can take less money and we can just let this thing go. It'll benefit us more than anything else by just being able to be present and like when you realize what kind of the marketplace is, and you can make these kind of moves as an indie, it's a better move if you're not like on some label that can pull the trigger. Like I'd go back to Atlantic any day of the week. I love those people. They were just awesome.
Well, that's great to hear. And I know like Federal Empire, you guys definitely got a good number of syncs for your songs. And I remember hearing them in TV shows, and I can see why. I mean, said they're catchy, those gang vocals that you talked about. Great sing-alongs, great feel good. I mean, I Never Liked Your Friends is just a classic.
Thanks, man.
Is there a dream show you'd like to get a song on?
Man,
movie, of course.
You know, I don't have a total dream show. I'll tell you somebody that I would love to place the music. I'm the biggest fan of Taika Waititi. Everything that he does, all the films, the writing, the directing. For me, he's the most genius filmmaker, writer, director of all time. And I think that his level of humor, like a lot of our songs fit in a cynical, sarcastic, funny kind of a way that, I'll put that out into the universe and say, Taika, let's get one of the songs in one of your future films.
Please.
Yes.
It can happen. You know, I've heard he's a very nice guy. Like happened to be at the AMC at the Grove where he was doing the premiere of his new film, Next Goal Wins. And apparently like some of the staff were saying like he just came up and hugged them and talked to them.
That's awesome.
Just like, being friendly, telling them to follow their dreams.
Yes. I love that, man. He seems like that guy.
Yeah, I mean, brilliant guy. He's just now he has to do a more modern film, so your music will fit in unless he wants to do anachronistic things like with Jojo Rabbit and the David Bowie sync.
Yeah, that was crazy.
So let's talk about your new song, "Hate You Too." It's sort of carry on that tradition of kind of the cheekiness, but dealing with a breakup. How is that? What made you decide that would be the first song for your kind of new era to release?
A couple things. I think it's definitely poppy, catchy, funny, so it fits the branding that's been there for a while. And then we started working with a distributor called 1RPM, and we shot them a few of the songs that Chad and I loved, and we're like, hey, we're thinking of one of these for like the reintroduction to the independent Federal Empire. And they really liked Hate You Too as well. We were thinking, new year, let's maybe try something around that Valentine's Day. Alternative bands have always kind of been in like the anti-Valentine's Day thing. Like, hey, if you're single, if you're struggling through this single awareness day, come join us and let's use some humor and gather together. So I know for some people it can be a difficult time of year to like not have someone to love, or to have just broken up, or to have old exes that you feel one type of way about. That I think it works really well, and we had this song to be like let's put this one out around that time and see what kind of funny memes and things like that. We've had a blast just laughing at all the videos we're grabbing and editing the song to just like, man, it's just, I think that now that it's me and Chad and we can do whatever we want to do, it's really just fun. And this seemed like the most fun song to laugh for the next 6 weeks promoting and working on, to be like, that's a perfect time of year. Instead of wallowing in our depression or sadness or brokenness, let's just, you know, make jokes about it. And we're seeing it all the time in TV. We watched an episode of, I was watching an episode shamelessly of The Bachelor the other night, and I sent this clip to Chad that they asked this girl, like, have you ever had to fake it? And she was like, yeah, I've faked it. And that line in the second verse is like, you know, last time that we went to Vegas, you told me that I looked weird naked. After we ran the bases, you said that you always faked it. And I just think it's so funny, but so relevant and hilarious that everyone can kind of laugh along and be like, yeah, that's traditional romantic comedy humor right there, you know?
Yeah, well, you definitely got to get it sink in a good future rom-com now.
Totally. We're hoping.
Yeah. So how do you feel like it fits in, like, with the other songs you're writing? Are it's kind of the same vein, and are you guys looking to craft an EP, an album? Like, what's your plan right now for it?
You want to take that one, Chad?
Yeah, totally. I mean, we're definitely looking at EP because we have, there's so many songs that we have that are just that kind of specific thing with what the Federal Empire is. And we have the makings of all of those favorite things that we have. We got, like, you know, some like heartbreak songs. We have some stuff coming back to glory days that, you know, we really wanted to put out that kind of reach the arc of everything that we're aiming for. 1RPM seems pretty fun, or they seem pretty open to us to try this stuff. So there's really no reason for us not to be putting out a full EP. And I mean, we're looking at doing some tours. McKay's been talking to some people. I'm such a loner. I stay by myself so much. I don't talk to anybody. So like McKay,
well, thank you for talking to me.
Yeah, man, I totally lock myself out. So McKay has got like all the connections with like all the cool bands and stuff. So he's talking to a couple people about us getting back on the road, and we may even have a show this coming weekend. I don't know. It's like one of those things we haven't even played in a minute. It's like, all right, sure, dude, let's go for it.
Yeah.
Well, let me know if you do a surprise show here and there. You know, I'd love to stop in if it's in
Right
LA.
on, dude.
Totally.
Always open.
Yeah, 100%. We'll keep you updated. It definitely, whether this weekend or next, if it comes through, it'll be an LA show for sure to kick everything off again and start the community, you know.
Nice. Now, who would be your dream touring mates right now? I know you can't probably talk about who you're in talks with, but
man, dream. There are so many that are crazy. Like, honestly, the first name that comes to mind and the first dream for the last ever, I remember, you know, he's been a part of the Winston House community since the beginning, would be Noah Kahn, man. That guy, his music, his songwriting, everything he's done since the first thing, you know, at the Winston House, he and Corey Harper, we did some stuff with Corey Harper, like that whole crew is just making some amazing songs right now. And it's also stuff that, like, they're just good human beings, you know, that I think that would be one of my dream tours at the moment. What about you, Chad?
Sting. Definitely Sting.
Sting, dude.
Nice.
Ooh.
I don't know.
Legacy.
That'd be fun.
Let's go big. No, I don't know, man. I'm just kind of up to play. I've never had a really bad tour, but I've had a few funky shows with some people that we've, you know, played for, but McKay and I have always been in the place where it's like, man, it's and the same thing with Carolina Liar was that I loved opening for bands. Like, I never really worried about doing like the headline thing because I had such a good time playing for other people. So I don't know. I'm up for anything. I do another Lindsey Sterling tour. We had such a good time with those things.
Yeah.
The Angels and Airwave guys, those dudes were dope. KGL was a really rad show.
Yeah.
You get to, I don't get to go see a lot of shows. So as an opener, you get to go and like, damn, I get to see the show for a couple of times. Dioro was dope.
Yeah.
I do another Dioro run.
Yeah. That was crazy.
Those all sounds like, well, for some good dream headliners. You know, I'm hoping to see Sting at the Beach Life Festival this year.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Noah Khan. I would love to go to the Hollywood Bowl show. I don't think I'll be able to get tickets for that one, but
Yeah.
you never know.
Yeah.
So I'm talking back to Carolina. I know that's still, you released another song last year for
Yeah.
Carolina, Chad. So is that project, is it kind of just you now? Do you play with any of the old bandmates from when releasing songs into that moniker?
Yeah, I still play, like I still hang out with the guys from the band all the time. Not so much in the last couple of months, but we're still working. Tobias and I, like the one who I wrote Show Me What I'm Looking For with, we're talking about like re-editing a few things and possibly even doing like an acoustic record. But that's the kind of nice thing about having this kind of indie setup. Like 1 week we can do like the Federal Empire thing, and this stuff can actually live together because there are different bands. Like it's so weird. Like when we went out and did the Federal stuff, the Federal Empire is like, it's like candy. I don't know how to describe it, man. When we do these shows, people swear to God that they have heard the songs before and they've never seen us. And that stuff works so instant. I have never been in a band that worked so quick as far as like winning an audience. Carolina stuff was like, that's moody, kind of introspective, like artsy kind of stuff, which was fun. I love that band. I love what that is. But as far as kind of what Federal is, I guess I get to have both worlds with it, and doing indie setup kind of opens that space up to like just keep dropping. Because I've got with Carolina, man, there's probably 2 albums worth of things that, being indie, I can just keep dropping singles every now and then. There's an audience for it that seems to really like these songs. So I think Spotify and some of these streaming services for indie artists can be pretty good. I know they don't pay that well, but it doesn't matter in the long run. Like, you know what? I can put the songs out. People can find them the way that it was kind of what we intended to do when we were kids anyway. Like, man, I just want to play this music. If I could be free from like the rest of the world, and by doing this daily, it's like you've already won the game. Like, yeah, it'd be great to be super rich, but if you're not having to do the day job and you get to write music and play songs, you kind of won.
Yeah, now let's talk a bit about, I mean, obviously Spotify and TikTok. I mean, there's always controversy about how they pay. And, you know, but the truth is Spotify, I think, gets a little unfairly maligned because a lot of it's based on the record label deals that Spotify had to make. So, and, you know, if you own your own publishing, if you own your own masters, you actually have a much better chance of earning money through the streaming world. So how do you guys approach, you know, the business of the Federal Empire? You know, being independent, I'm sure you still have to be in touch with Sumerian about, you know, things regarding the old record. You know, like, what's your kind of philosophy of it? How do you like to be involved with that kind of whole aspect of it?
Yeah, I think, like, you know, especially for this new year, new independent perspective of how we're running this next release, it's kind of have the most fun as possible. You know, like, Chad's got an amazing place on the water down in Huntington Beach, so we're trying to do it where I just go down and stay with him 2-3 days a week, and we'll go out paddle boarding, we'll hang, make some good food, and just think of fun ideas and cool things to do and really be entrepreneurial. I've always loved that side of the brain that gets excited about, oh, like, anything is possible. What can we just create while you and I just talk here, you know? And Chad and I'll be like, oh, let's do this. Hey, what about that person? Let's email them. Hey, let's try and edit this video. Oh, this would be hilarious. Can we make that work? Let's call these people. Like, I think it's so fun when nothing is limiting you. Like Chad was saying, like, you know, we've loved every management company, label, everyone we've ever been a part of or been helped by or worked with. But there is something nice about not having too many cooks in a kitchen. When it's he and I sitting at a table, we don't have to think, let's approve this through this person. There's not 7 other people that have opinions of how to change it or what to do. It's like, if we want to, we make it right there within the hour and pop it up. We say, hey, let's release this song next and do it in 3 weeks from now. Let's play this show. You know, I love entrepreneurship. I've always loved starting businesses, doing business things. And so it's cool because we get to make whatever art we want to make, however we want to make it, and do the business however we want to do it as well. That it's just fun, man. I think we approach it very much philosophically from, like, the Rick Rubin state of mind, you know, like make the art that you love. At the end of the day, once that's done, you don't have control over it. The audience is going to do whatever they want with it. Let's try some dumb TikToks. We're not, you know, cinematographers, we're not video editors, but we can make do. So let's just try some dumb stuff that we think is funny, and if it does well, that's awesome. If it doesn't, who cares? The art is great and we're happy and proud at that. And the world, I think, will take it wherever it needs to go. And we've got a bunch of records to kind of have a bunch of different darts to throw, like, hey, maybe these people will like this, maybe these people will like that. That I think at the end of the day, business wise, we're just trying to have a good time, man, and live good lives and not take it too seriously and not stress about it too much. It's great art. We're happy and we're going to have a good time with it, you know?
Yeah. And those platforms, I mean, it is definitely a different world from what it was, say, in the early 2000s or 90s, even, whenever it's like, oh man, you'd be a sellout if you're up on like doing these kind of things and blah blah blah. And it's like, no, you're just kind of missing the evolution. There's a platform for you, and you can find an audience that has space for everybody. It's literally like these things Spotify supplies, that these independent distributors give like space for people to find their audience and to find their people. Kind of like finding little towns that you really fit in well with. And these things are complicated, and they always will be. There's going to be things that suck about them. But the ability to move this way, to like pivot, put out a new song, and then all of a sudden, like, you just don't know what can happen. Literally, McKay and I were talking the other day, like, you make a comment on somebody's post. Like, we made a comment on someone's post on our Federal Empire TikTok. And for some reason, and it was a stupid comment, it meant nothing at the time other than like, wow, that dude did really good. That was rad. And some reason 25,000 people saw that comment. It's like, are you kidding? Like, that's real data there. There's like people who are like they came to that naturally. There was no like forced manipulation because like there's some genius who's working in a marketing department. It has like the ability to be so organic through these platforms now is amazing. It's unreal, like what you can get away with. And like McKay was saying, it's gambling, but you don't know. You have no power over it. And the people at the big music industry spots, they don't know either. They're trying to figure this thing out just as much as anybody else. And you just can't rely on, you know, somebody from a major label or a label entity being like, nope, this is definitely going to work. It's like, no, they don't know anymore. They can't only thing they may be able to manufacture is some radio and maybe some sync through leverage. That's it. The rest of this stuff is going to, they're fighting with everybody else. The game has been like level. The playing field really is like, it's a knife fight out there or whatever, whoever's the cleverest and scrappiest, you know?
Yeah.
It's usually the short guys.
No, and I do love that. I mean, that part about like, TikTok, how it's really giving the fans the opportunity to like make something popular. And sometimes it's something old that's, you know, giving revived or something brand new from an indie artist. And, you know, with the recent Universal pulling all their music and their catalog from TikTok, I mean, on one hand, it hurts some of the smaller artists in that label, but also maybe it'll give some other tinier artists a chance to be discovered through there without Taylor Swift and Drake, you know, overshadowing all of it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And those algorithms, I've had some videos I've been doing, like a series, go viral on Facebook recently.
That's
just
awesome.
Counting down like top 5 songs of every year starting 1954.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Like, I didn't do anything on TikTok, didn't do much on Instagram, but like Facebook, I found my older audience.
Yep, that's amazing, man. I love that. It's so cool because it really is like, I mean, you don't get into the music industry without having an affinity kind of for gambling. Like we're gambling every time we do something, but it's fun to be like the thrill of right before release. Like, I don't know, something could happen. Even every TikTok anyone ever posts, like it might be a necessary evil to do certain things. And some artists don't love certain self-promotion. That always sucks and it's always hard, but there is something cool about knowing that every time you could win the lottery. We got a bunch of free lottery tickets here if we're willing to do the work. And if you do it, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, you know, like there are audiences out there that it just might work. It might connect, you know?
Yeah. I mean, this is
Totally.
that golden era that we can do this. It probably won't last that long. These
Yeah.
windows of opportunity never survive more than what, 3-4 years or something like that.
Yeah.
And then it'll can reconfigure itself, and everybody's going to have to pay to join, or there will be too many ads involved. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
now at that time.
everything changes and ends, but you know, people complain, but I still think it's probably better in the long term for artists than like the legal downloading days.
Oh, dude,
Yeah.
that was terrible.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Somebody gave me an like, because that was 2008 when the Liar stuff was happening, and they were showing me like, because we had hit probably gold with I'm Not Over, and they showed me just basically a breakdown, like we'd sold 500,000 physical copies of a record, but they were like, dude, look at this number, this is going to really depress you because of LimeWire and everything. And it was equivalent of about 2.5 million sales would have happened with that single. And that was physical copies that they could really analyze and say that would have been what it was, and that's what you've missed. You've only got literally a quarter of what that was. That would have been lifetime money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, it was a different thing altogether, but that things change. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about it. It's like kind of accepting what it is. It's the music business is just one of those things, and I think the music business was one of the first ones to catch these like hard evolutions that everybody else, like the movie industry, is having to deal with it, with like the strikes and stuff, real estate. So many things are like having to deal with like this change of like, oh no, where's our income? It's like, well, you guys, you'll grow into it. The musicians never have.
Yeah.
We've gotten
trust
used
me.
to it.
I'm a screenwriter, or at least that's been the long-term goal. And like, we don't even have a Spotify to put like our
Nope.
scripts out there to earn a little income from. We just have to hopefully get it made, or it's just art that sits on your computer for however many years.
Yeah.
See, there's the platform right there, man. You guys just gotta like start making indie, like quick indie series, like cheap indie series on YouTube. That's it. That's it. Just find that cash. Make
I know.
But it's so different, man, because you guys like screenwriters and film producers have to have so many people involved. You can't make a movie by yourself, really.
No, and it
impossible.
Costs a good. I mean, making music costs money too, but there's a point where you get to where if you have all the equipment, you can just do it and it's there.
Dude, you can make great music on your phone. Yeah, you can't do that with you can't compete.
No.
Music people don't care. They're just like, dude, there's a beat in there somewhere. I'm feeling that.
Yeah. Now going to beats, what you said. I know you guys did a couple collaborations like Martin Garrix and Sam Felt. I'm guessing maybe those are from maybe McKay, since you I know worked a bit more in the dance electronic world before. How was kind of adjusting your working experience with different artists in that realm? That experience like? Did you enjoy it? Like being part of that collaboration? Would you guys be open to more types of collaborations in the future like that?
Yeah, definitely, man. We loved it. I think we've all kind of worked somewhat in the dance world a lot when the DJs were really getting big and that became the thing. A lot of times they are looking for either writers or singers. And when Chad and I originally linked up writing, he was working with his friend Alan, who's done a bunch in the dance world as well. So we were kind of doing that thing. The other guy, Keith, that we worked with, also semi in the dance world. All of us came from, as kids growing up, playing in bands, playing guitar, all those things. But then as music naturally ebbs and flows, like the dance world became a big thing. And the manager, Scooter Braun, that we had at the time was also managing Martin Garrix. They loved what we had. They were like, dude, this collab would make perfect sense because Martin had done so much with Avicii, which was similar to the records we made. We're always a hybrid of Americana, indie rock, and electronic dance music, big kick drums, side chain bass pulsing through, that it was a modern thing, that it made a lot of sense. And dude, we had the best time. Martin Garrix was the funnest dude to work with. He is the most talented person. Like in the room, he will just sit on a laptop keyboard and produce amazing things, So that was fun. The Sam Felt thing, he and his team, we had a song already done called Shot by My Own Gun. We were going to release that ourselves, and he wanted to do his flip on it. So we were like, yeah, man, go for it. We sent him the stems. He built up that thing. That was amazing. And honestly, it's just access to different audiences, which then even touring with Lindsey Sterling, who's in that electronic space, touring with Dioro in that electronic space, that we fit really well. In our live show oftentimes can be just me and Chad playing acoustic guitar and singing. I'll have a couple of synthesizers and a laptop, kind of like a DJ, you know, has. That we love that world. There's some potential collabs we already have and some remixes that we already have made release in the next few months that we love it. We hope to keep working there. And the producers like Martin Garrix that grew up as kids with a laptop and programming and DJ schools, they have such a different frame of mind than we do in terms of sound design right on a laptop. Chad and I are much more old school, that we get a bunch of instruments and analog gear in a room and we just play around. These kids put on a pair of headphones and just type up things, and it's like computer programming. So we love working in that world. There's a lot of new sound design, and the Federal Empire, I think, is highly influenced by the sound design of the DJ world, you know? So hopefully some other big names, some other collabs and remixes in our future for sure.
Awesome. Well, guys, this has been just so fun talking to you. I'm sure I could go on, but you all have busy days and things to get done. So,
yeah, we got the single coming out. I'm over here editing the one of the lyric videos for it today.
Oh,
Nice.
amazing.
I just discovered something crazy on CapCut, and I'm like, oh shit, man, look at this. Wait, McKay, I got something to send you in about half an hour.
That's awesome, man. Dude, thanks so
Insane.
much for taking the time, Bo, man. We really appreciate you.
Yeah,
Guys,
dude,
this is
thanks
so much
for having
fun.
us.
Oh, happy to. I'm looking forward to that release, the rest of the music you guys planned, and do keep me informed about a tour, because I'd love to come see you guys.
Yeah, dude,
Awesome,
come right
man.
out with us for a little while.
For real.
Perfect.
Talk soon, dude.
Talk soon, guys. Take care.
Later.